All right,
And
so we're going to round this episode off with another of our mock drafts. So this is our second one. We did one our previous episode, switched up spots a little bit this time. So I took the 4 spot, which I think, Jack, that's what you had last time, right? Something
that
like
is correct.
So,
yep.
So we'll see how differently our strategies come in and how they turn out. And Jack's got the end of the round, so he ended up with the 12 pick. So we've got essentially a half PPR league. Running back or two running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flexes, 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, and then no defenses, kicker, et cetera, et cetera. So we got 60 seconds per pick. So we won't belabor our takes too much, but we'll go through this one pretty quick and we'll post the teams and see what we think. So we'll get this.
We also do have Connor at the 8 spot, just so you know. He joined in. He's not going to be on webcam, but he is joining to make it a little spicier. So we'll see if he can have a better team than the host. So nice and spread out.
We'll get this started. We'll see how we go. So JJ goes first, followed by CMC. Jamar Chase brings me down to pick 4. Honestly, pretty easy one for me. I'm taking the receiving and rushing upside of Mr. Alson Eckler.
Easy. I think that's the most logical pick at that point if he doesn't go top 3. So
yep.
We got Kelsey going at 5, and then the receivers that should have gone, Tyreek and Cooper Kupp next 2. So Connor's on the clock, basically with the consensus top 6 of the top 7. It's basically just kind of the Kelsey or the Bijan decision. So you would assume he goes Bijan here, but he could go receiver instead and maybe be out on the reasons. I mean, you could take Tyler Algier at the 108 if you were really feeling spicy.
So. Surely could. I mean, he is going to outrush Bijan, so.
Oh, Connor, we're curious what you're going to do here. I feel like Bijan's the clear running back pick, but I think if you were going wide receiver, it's probably still Diggs for me. So, I mean, I don't know if you would disagree on that one.
I don't know. Even with half PPR, I mean, I still love Saquon here at this spot.
Over Bijan?
Not over Bijan.
Oh, how about wide receiver?
I thought you said outside of. If I'm taking Diggs over AJ Brown.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Connor, quick!
I'll give you 5 more seconds here.
Okay.
I don't know if he's actually in here. He just joined.
I told him we were about to start, so I mean, if he misses one, I guess we'll just see when he joins in. But
poor baby gets Bijan.
Yeah, right. That's who he's going to take anyway.
Kind of what I figured.
All right, well, I should probably look at the board now instead of telling him. So, Saquon and Bijan.
Maybe he got in.
Oh, he got in because it took there you Saquon. Go. Spicy. He took Saquon. Bijan goes next. Nick Chubb goes next, eliminating my hope of any running back plan at the first one. So I'm basically left with, I'm not taking Jonathan Taylor and I'm not taking Mahomes. So I'm basically left with, do I take Derrick Henry as really the only running back option I would consider, or do I just double dip on wide receivers? The only thing I'm looking at is really what's going to come back to me, and the running backs that could make it are the Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walkers, and Aaron Jones. So for that reason, I think I'm convinced that Derrick Henry is one of my picks. If I felt better about somebody else slipping, I would probably go with a wide receiver build, but going to do Derrick Henry just to give myself another 30, 40 seconds or so to decide wide receivers. Looking here, kind of like Tyler talked about with Devontae Adams, he's probably my last choice out of these. So it's A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, or Amon-Ra. I think CeeDee's probably my 3rd choice out of those 3. So it's, again, between A.J. Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Very torn here. I want to go Amon-Ra with the upside pick of this year, but I think A.J. Brown has just got that alpha in him, and it's tough to pass on that. So I think for me, I'm going to go A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry as my top 2. Start with a balanced approach. So now we'll see if Connor gets his pick in here. Instant. Yeah, he's on auto. Do you want to dial it back to that maybe?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I can revert back to this pick.
I think if you click on him, it'll let you. Yeah.
Well, that's this let auto pick. I guess I can change.
Or just remove players. Redo pick at 17.
Because this is change, right? Oh, redo.
Second one is removed. There you go.
I got you.
You just do that for all those. Maybe the three after them too, in case he wants any of them. Now that Connor's back in, he won't auto pick. So go ahead, Connor. Not that you're listening. I'm not talking to yourself.
Right.
If you auto pick again, we can't help you.
Yep.
Connor.
Ooh,
oh boy. Oh, he went Waddle. Okay,
he went Waddle,
for me. I like that pick. I like Waddle over Devontae. I like Waddle over Josh Jacobs. I might have gone Amon-Ra personally at that point, but
I would have as well. That was unfortunate. I cannot believe Amon almost fell to me down there.
Yep.
So getting back to here, just too early for me to go quarterback. Looking at wide receivers, obviously Garrett Wilson is a stud. Tony Pollard, I'd be a complete hypocrite if I took him. If I took him
After
right
all
here,
that. Take Najee. Take all the other guys you hate.
Yeah, I hate Najee here. So for me, it's a pretty easy pick, and I would take Garrett Wilson here.
I like it. That's the right pick to me too. Especially with you having running back first. Had you gone wide receiver first, I would then look at Tony Pollard, but that's just me.
Yeah, exactly. Two big ones go, or the other two big three go, and Hurts, Allen, Ramondre, Pollard, Mark Andrews, Devonta Smith. And somehow, if I started with this build, I would be absolutely ecstatic. So if I come all the way down here and I could get Chris Olave as my wide receiver 2, and get Austin Eckler in the first, that's exactly how it would go. I think he is kind of the last teardrop before, in my opinion, T. Higgins and a DK Metcalf. Again, you heard me with concerns with Najee, and I certainly ain't touching Travis Etienne or Brees Hall in the third. So for me, pretty easy pick, and I'm going to go Olave.
I like it. That's my goal.
Mm-hmm. That would be a ridiculous start.
So Etienne and Brees both go, and then T. Higgins going up to Connor here, who's got a balanced build. All three of us started basically running back, wide receiver. So shaping up so far to be the same team. We'll see if it kind of stays on that trend or not. But he's got Najee and Gibbs, like we talked about. He's going DK Metcalf.
Ooh, nice.
So then Najee and Gibbs go back to back, ruining my hopes for either of them, and Lamar, which is great because I would have gone Lamar. I'm not probably going Burrow just at this point, but we'll see. I mean, Fields is tempting. If I didn't like any of the other positions and Burrow was also gone, maybe. I think I'm probably sticking balanced again. I don't love the running backs and wide receivers other than Mixon, though he does scare me with the whole legal stuff. They did just find him innocent, so hopefully he does play. Yeah. I think he's just one of the only other guys that's like the clear, obvious choice for leading his team and being the bell cow, ball carrier. So just because I'm hating running backs through the rest of the way, I'm going to take my second one here just to make sure I get 2 through 3 rounds, or through 4 rounds, I should say. And then I'm probably looking at wide receiver here. So, I mean, I don't love any of the other running backs. I'm considering quarterback. Not a Deebo fan, not a Ridley fan, not a Cooper fan, like we talked about. Mm-hmm. Really, the only one in consideration for me is Keenan Allen. But I also talked about how great Quentin Johnson's going to be this year. So I'm kind of torn in between, do I need to take another wide receiver here or wait on it? Or do I go quarterback later? So for me, I think if it was Lamar, I'd be locked in.
Yes.
I'm basically between Justin Fields and Joe Burrow, and I don't know how to feel with Burrow's injury. So if I had some more clarity on him, I think I'd be going Burrow. But I'm just going to see what the build looks like, and I'm putting Justin Fields on the board over Burrow in a spicy pick.
I like it.
See, the rest of the teams don't like Burrow either. They didn't take him. So,
yeah. Let me go Ridley, Deebo, and then Keenan goes. Keenan probably would have been my pick there.
Yeah. Keenan was likely mine if I'm like going on my normal draft. I just want to see what kind of happens if I go quarterback. Yeah. So Keenan would probably be mine, and I'd love it. But
Char takes Waller. I like it.
Early. Burrow. He's listening to us.
I like it. Burrow, Aaron Jones, Amari Cooper. Interesting one for me here, only having one running back. I get down to the Kenneth Walker, Dameon Pierce, Miles Sanders. I don't really like any of it.
Because of this
right here. I really
here.
don't like any of it. Kenneth Walker will probably end up being the pick here.
You love Miles Sanders. Come on.
I really just don't. If I look at wide receivers, Terry McLaurin just got hurt tonight. That's why you see the questionable tag. I think he's kind of this last tier before the drop-off of Hop and then down to DJ Moore and Judy, in my opinion. So having him as a wide receiver 3 would be pretty amazing. And I really am not a huge believer in Kenneth Walker, like I've said. And with the injury concern, I could see Justin Herbert being the pick. But for me, I'm going to take Terry as a wide receiver 3 and go heavy wide receiver early.
I don't hate it.
Dameon Pierce, Kenneth Walker.
Thank God.
Herbert, Hawkinson, DJ Moore, Miles Sanders. So those big kind of running backs go. Certainly not looking at Kittle as we know. J.K. Dobbins, again, I know Jack is totally out on him, but I could see him having a good year. When he's played, he's been incredibly efficient. He's been incredibly good. But looking at the rest of the running backs here, Cam Akers, I have no issue with Cam Akers here as my RB2. Mattinson is my RB2. James Conner is my RB2. So I like all of these here, and I do have to, I think in my opinion, I do have to pick one of them here. I could, and since the quarterbacks went, this is kind of a pick your poison here. I really don't know who I like the most out of this. This is kind of a difficult one for me. I could go the safety of James Conner with some of the receiving upside. Probably would go Cam Akers here. I think the Rams do a little bit better than most individuals think. I think they'll be okay, and I think Cam Akers continues to play well. And Sean McVay obviously tends to like to gravitate to one individual.
Yeah, Akers would have been my pick at that point too, just for the upside. So I like that. DeAndre Hopkins goes next. Kittle, Tyler talked about earlier, and then Kamara, which I think is going earlier than needed. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen in a real draft.
Ooh, Connor grabs his quarterback and tight end early. That's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. So based on that, for me, because I went quarterback, I'm not even looking at tight end, even though Pitts would be a decent value here for me. I was really hoping. I literally had Judy or London on my board when Connor picked, and they both went in 3 picks. So that hurts because I would have liked a second receiver there. For me, I know I'm getting a wide receiver with one of my picks just to get a second one in. It's pretty much between Godwin and Ayuk. I'll just save the trouble. I would probably be going Hollywood Brown at this point, but I think James Conner is a very, very good value here to pass up, even though it's my third running back. So I am going him, which essentially means that I'm out on Hollywood Brown, who's usually one of my guys, just because I'm not taking 2 pieces of the Cardinals offense. Sorry. So the other one for me is wide receiver. I'm not interested in Christian Watson whatsoever. So do I take one of the 2 Tampa Bay Bucks receivers with Mike Evans, who is super underrated, I think, this year, or Godwin, or do I go Ayuk? I think I'm probably going to go one of the Bucks guys, and then it's just kind of pick your poison. I think Godwin or Evans is a better value because he's later, but at this point, when you're on one of the ends, you're just taking a guy regardless. So it's neither of them are coming back to me. So what does it matter? So I am going to go Godwin for that reason, just because I like more of like the PPR side of things, which the quarterbacks suck, and they're going to have to throw a lot of short ones because their offensive line also sucks. So I think Godwin will have a nice safe floor behind my AJ Brown with upside and a team that I kind of went like weak wide receiver. So Connor goes Christian Kirk, one of your boys.
Yeah,
Swift
I love
goes
that.
Mike Evans.
He's going to get plenty of time in the slot. Mike Evans, Mattinson. So I semi played the game with hoping one of these individuals would fall to me, and so Dalvin Cook, I'm certainly not as interested in him. From the camp reports and what I've seen, Javonte is starting to look like himself. So for me, if I'm looking in this range, Goddard does nothing for me compared to some of these other individuals. I love Ayuk here as well. He'd be literally my what is that, second flex wide receiver in a PPR league. I certainly don't hate that. Tyler Lockett would be great, but Javonte Williams, if he gets back to form sooner, he could be legitimately a top 15 option right away. And so getting him as my RB3 and to really round out that running back room, if he comes back to form, Austin Eckler, Javonte Williams, plus with the receivers I already have, it's going to be 6. So give me some Javonte there in 6th.
Yeah, I like that, having Akers as kind of the safe one. If Javonte was your second, that would scare me.
Yes, exactly.
All right, Ayuk goes, Lockett goes, Dalvin Cook, Hollywood, no. Michael Pittman, Pacheco goes, and back to you, kind of to go whichever way you want at this point.
Yeah, I got a pretty good balance here. If I'm looking at Rachaad White, I think he's would be plenty fine as a flex kind of piece for me. I think I like Rachaad White more than the consensus. Montgomery has always performed well as well. Pickens, I'm not as big of a fan. Deontay Johnson going right next to each other, and then my boy James Cook. So
are you looking at any quarterbacks or tight ends based on your team so far? I'm not.
Okay. If I'm looking at these, Deshaun and Dak, I mean, Goddard would probably be the last again. He's going to be the last teardrop. But sometimes you just got to scroll a little bit, and just go find your guy. So give me some more James Cook.
That's exactly what I figured. I would expect nothing less. So
smart.
Dak Prescott goes, and then Pickens and Deontay Johnson, back-to-back teammates. So we're on the board with Connor here, who went both quarterback and tight end early. So he's only got one running back through 7 rounds and fixes that with David Montgomery. So that's what I was going to say. He needs to go somebody there, and Montgomery's not terrible. So
he took Rashad.
I'm sorry. Mine bumped ahead. Well, he went running back either way. I would have gone Montgomery, but that's potato. So for me, my team's looking pretty balanced. I got 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers. I probably want at least 1 more wide receiver here just to kind of fill it out. I've got JSN, who I'm a big fan of. Quentin Johnston is also in consideration here, who I talked about. So it's kind of a wide receivers area that I can look at. For me, I'm probably still going to go the JSN upside over Quentin Johnston just because I'm not confident he's going to start off the year super hot. So I will go JSN, lock that first one in. And then looking at 3 and 3 of each, I probably feel better about my running backs here. So that would maybe push me to go wide receiver instead. Not looking at Evan Ingram, Freiermuth, and Njoku. I'm probably just kicking the can down with the tight ends at this point. So if I went wide receiver, it would probably just double down on rookie options and go QJ again. But I also feel like I have a pretty solid floor with them. So maybe like the fact that I've got Joe Mixon scares me enough to go running back. My running backs are all very old. They're very good, but they're very old. So I need a little bit of youth in here, and I'm going with a guy that's kind of climbing up my depth chart. That's going to be a potentially a value option if he's running away with the job like it looks like he is. So a little bit of a reach, but again, being at the bookend, you kind of have to just pick anybody in that 20 pick range. So I'm going Khalil Herbert.
Ooh, nice.
Kind of just the situation of like him versus A.J. Dillon, who I talked up, but Dillon has Aaron Jones in the way. Khalil Herbert's looking like he's taken the job, so I like that as a dart throw as my 4th guy, and just to kind of back up the position that scares me a little bit more.
Yep.
We got Evan Ingram, Sean Watson, Gibson, your guy.
Antonio Gibson, yeah.
I think Connor needs another running back here because he's got, well, never mind. He's going Jordan Addison. So Addison and JSN both go over Quentin Johnston. I don't know if that's surprising. It can kind of go any of those 3 orders, but.
And Njoku goes, Tua goes, A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon honestly probably would have been my pick, even though I've already got, 4 running backs. If I'm looking toward receiver, Traylon Burks doesn't do a whole lot for me. Kadarius Toney. A lot of these guys don't do a whole lot for me. I think I got 3 safety valves, so Quentin Johnston could be a high upside shot for me. But for me, the rookie wide receiver that I like even a little bit more than Quentin Johnston, if I scroll down a little bit further, I've been loving me some Zay Flowers and seeing what I've been seeing from him out of camp. So if I'm going wide receiver here, I'm probably going Zay. I think I'm good with running back. I do like Sharp here as well. That would be an amazing piece. But if I want my receiver here, again, these guys all look just fine. I'm going to take Zay here with a little bit of a reach.
Yep, I like that, especially going 3 running backs, 3 picks before, going back to balance it out. All the wide receivers going right now.
Okay, makes me feel a lot better too.
Yeah, Tony, Burks, Cooks, Gabe Davis, Quentin Johnston, and Michael Thomas in the 6 picks before your next one.
Yeah, and so if I'm getting to an area like this, and this one, this one's, I'm going back and forth. For me, the tight ends aren't that drastically different. I think Freiermuth is going to be fine. I think he's going to be like a top 8 tight end, and then the rest of these are just going to be iffy. But I'm totally fine piecing that together to come back here and look at really, for me, the last teardrop before this. Before the rest of these individuals, the Aaron Rodgers, the Kirks of the world. I do like Geno, I do like Daniel Jones, Jared Goff, but if I want that potential rushing upside of Anthony Richardson, this is exactly where I have to take him in the 9th, so give me some Anthony Richardson.
And this is exactly why I normally wouldn't consider taking Fields where I did, just because there's still great options there. So
yes,
being able to wait until the 9th, 10th round to take your guys like that, I think Fields can be a league winner, but I think that there's enough good other options there. So probably would have gone more of a Keenan Allen typically, but it worked out. I was wondering if you'd take Charbonnet. He goes next. Aaron Rodgers after that. Rashad Bateman. And then Connor goes Brian Robinson. Freiermuth goes. I was considering him if he fell to me at that point just because I could lock my tight end up. But then Rashad Penny and Jamal Williams. I had Penny on my short list just because I always find myself taking him, even though he's been kind of left in limbo with what the Eagles are going to do. So for me, got my quarterback. I still need tight end, but I've got a very, very balanced team of 4 running backs and 3 receivers. So would be nice to grab a second receiver here. Really the only one in consideration for me is Juju, kind of for the reasons Tyler mentioned. He just seems like a safe option. So maybe I use him as my wide receiver 3 until JSN gets going. If he starts out slow, I feel very, very good with AJ Brown and Chris Godwin. So Juju just seems like a safe floor kind of guy, going to be a one you can plug in as a flex and get consistent value. Beyond that, I'm out on P. Ryan now with the news. Javante's pretty healthy. A-Chain's hurt. We don't know how long he's going to miss time. Sutton and Elijah Moore, I hate. Odell, no chance. Jameson Williams, not taking a guy to sit on my bench for 6 weeks. Sorry.
Or more.
It's just gross everywhere else. So this is kind of the situation where it pushes me into taking a tight end. And between Dalton Schultz and Dalton Kincaid, very, very similar. Give me the one that actually has upside, though. So, again, I'm ending up with Kincaid just like our last draft.
Yep.
And that's it. Cousins, P. Ryan, Sutton go, and then Connor's back up. So Connor is instant picked. A-Chain. So
A-Chain.
Connor and I both have our tight ends and quarterbacks. Tyler just took his quarterback. No tight end yet.
Yeah. And looking in this, with Schultz go, he probably would have been mine. But now any of these individuals that I end up with all the way down to Laporta, I'm kicking it way down. I don't care if I end up with Komet, Chig, Dulcich, Higbee, Laporta. I'm good with any of those. Got a balanced roster pretty much everywhere else. Not taking Odell ever. Not taking Jameson. Elijah Mitchell could be one. Kind of gross. Pretty much all the way down. It got gross
very, very quickly.
Very, very quickly. There's honestly nobody here that I really, really like. Scrolling down a little bit further, I think if I'm looking at running back and I'm looking in this area, I'm probably going somebody like Raheem Mostert. Again, with the JT news, I don't love it, but I think Mostert is the individual that is going to lead that Dolphins backfield. He doesn't have a whole lot of receiving work, but he is incredibly efficient. So when he is out on the field, if I can get a starting running back in the 10th, see how long he goes, I think I got to take that.
Yep. Agreed.
Elijah Mitchell, Odell, Damian Harris, McKinnon, Komet, Jameson Williams. And again, from here, just kind of throw ADP out the window. Go get your guys at this point. Really doesn't matter. As you see me and Jack scrolling down, pretty much go get whoever you want. I'm going back to the balance approach. Now I'm kind of looking for those upside guys. And for me, somebody in this area is, again, I'm trying to find somebody who can really outproduce and become the number one for their team. If I look at somebody like Jacoby Myers, I always am drawn to the name, but he's not going to supplant Devontae Adams ever. Tyler Boyd, not going to supplant Jamar Chase and T. Higgins ever. Adam Thielen isn't going to be consistent enough. He's going to be a short area kind of safety valve. But Sky Moore, he's got the big play potential. He could be somebody who separates himself. I don't know that he'll do it, but that upside is way higher than anybody else in that area.
Yep, he was my next pick too, so makes sense. We get Geno Smith finally going. Still insanity to me. Geno Smith is my, if I missed on Anthony Richardson pick, I'm going to lock him or Tua up. So all the old veterans, just Thielen, Ezekiel Elliott going. Finally, my boy, Tyler Algier. Connor didn't take him. Connor took Jalen Warren. Chig goes. The first kicker goes. Gross. So for me, I've got my tight end locked up. I'm not taking two. If you take a quarterback early enough, it kind of pushes me out of taking another quarterback other than maybe like the final round of great value. So I'm really only just going to keep loading up on running backs and wide receivers, which is a position I love to be in. So for me, because I have pretty much even on both, I can kind of take whatever I like. I'm going to kind of do the same thing with the dart throw upside pick like Tyler talked about. And this guy was my target if Sky Moore didn't come to me. It's not Rashee Rice, don't worry, but I'm going Kendra Miller, who I think is going to keep rising up draft boards. Potential to be the early option for a rookie, especially with Kamara being out. So going with him. And then beyond that, Singletary would be the other one in consideration, but I'm going to try to force myself to take a wide receiver here. So of the next ones up, if I scroll a little bit down, I'm looking more at Romeo Doubs versus Jonathan Mingo, who's apparently getting most of the runs with the ones in training camp and preseason. So kind of like the upside with him there. But for me, I'm probably just going to go with Doubs because he showed some good flashes last year, and early reports in training camp where that love was tending to lean towards him as his number one over Christian Watson even. So see what happens there. Both are kind of dart throw guys. I have enough good receivers that I don't need either of them to be anything, but at least give me the guy that has already had a season under his belt. So we got a couple more kickers going here, probably a little earlier than likely in normal leagues, but pushes the value down a little bit for Connor, so he can kind of go whatever way he wants. I would assume receiver here because he's got a lot of running backs in a row, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, got running backs, Waddle, Metcalf.
Jacoby, maybe he likes Rashee Rice. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd go Mingo if I were him, but...
Yeah. I honestly think Jacoby Myers could be a usable piece for them. I think again, if he plays that slot role and Jimmy G can't throw it more than 2 yards down the field, I think if nothing else in a PPR league, he'll be all right.
Yeah, that part's fair. Call for the Devontae Adams cliff in the same season Jacoby is usable. Oh, he goes a second quarterback. So that's I guess if you don't love Trevor Lawrence, but that's one of those things where I wouldn't. I'm not taking those quarterbacks in the middle area. I'm either taking like the top 5 or I'm waiting.
Yep. And so again, I just talked about it, and I really didn't think he was going to get back to me. So I took the upside of Sky Moore, but now again, if I'm trying to find somebody who's going to be at least a potential consistent flex piece for me, Rashee Rice. I'm going to take Jacoby. So I think he's guaranteed that number 2 slot there. So I think he fell just a little bit too far. I'm surprised he's still here in the 12th.
You're a big Jacoby guy. I
really am. I really am.
Connor messaged in during this draft and said, I took Romeo Dubs for him, so he was rattled. So the Daniel Jones might have been a tilt pick. We don't know, but that was his plan.
Nice. Goff goes big. Tank goes Dulcich, Rashee, Russell, Singletary. Ouch. I was going to take Singletary on the way back.
That felt about right.
That's a tough one. I suppose I can grab a tight end here. So I'm going to take Jack's guy just simply because I don't have to scroll and he's staring at me. So give me Laporta.
Yep. At that point, at least it's an upside with a rookie. Him or Mayer, exactly. I wouldn't hate.
Higbee doesn't. Yeah.
Mayer doesn't have a lot to contend with either.
Good thing I did. People are going to start taking backup tight ends. I would have been screwed.
Yeah, no kidding. Finally got your starting lineup locked in, so that's good.
It took me 13 rounds.
Yeah.
15 for those that are kept.
I was just going to say, I just realized we got to take defense and kicker here in a second, don't we?
Well, no, just kicker. There's no defense.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so somehow this guy that I was talking about 24 picks ago is still there. So Jonathan Mingo, I'll take my other guy that I was considering, which is great. Kind of load up on some other running or receivers here, and then really beyond that,
last pick because the last one will be kicker. So,
this is my last real pick, I guess. Right. It's between 2 running backs as dart throws. The Kenny Gainwell I talked about before, if I really believe that he'll end up somehow being the Eagles guy. The problem is I don't think it'll happen early on, so I don't think he's going to be a guy I want to clog up a bench spot. So normally I would go him, but based on how my team is constructed, especially with the fact that I ended up taking Joe Mixon in the 3rd round, I'm actually going to go with the guy that could be his backup who's looked great in training camp so far, Chase Brown, rookie, who's been kind of sliding into the number 2 spot, and only for the sake that I'm basically hedging my bet in case Mixon misses time for legal reasons or for whatever reason is held out in the beginning. So Chase Brown, probably a guy I can drop in 2 to 3 weeks if not sooner, once we get the whole Mixon thing resolved. But Connor quickly goes Jalen Reed, who was one of your early preseason guys.
Yeah, for sure. So Rashawn Johnson, Reed, Kyler, Kareem Hunt, still not signed. Kind of crazy. And Fournette. I'm surprised. I thought he was going to get signed pretty much as soon as Zeke got signed. So people are still kicking the tires. He'll get signed somewhere, in my opinion. I don't know. He's not enough to be fantasy relevant or spell anybody. But he'll be good for an NFL team, is what I think. Mechie goes. And then I guess I got to go with my other diamond in the rough. Give me some Zay Jones since he's just staring at me in the face right there.
Let me say, too, in a normal setting, that's where I would have taken Kyler Murray these last couple of picks. But
correct.
Don't need it with Fields. But the fact that he's still there, give me that if I waited on quarterback. There goes all the kickers.
There goes all the kickers.
Not that it matters, but.
Yep. And then I just click the one that's at the top of the queue because I don't care.
And I wait to see who's left.
But everyone took them early, so you can pretty much have whoever.
That's true. What a deal. What a bargain. Connor takes Dicker the kicker, so I'm left with a bunch of random. Right before last, Mr. Irrelevant almost. The only one I'm taking, even a dart throw remotely on, is Zerline, just because he's tied to that Jets offense. So we'll see what happens. So,
Yeah, so, I mean, I really liked how my team came together, especially when I started running back and then 3 wide receivers. You never know how that running back depth is going to look. I feel like I got really lucky with Akers falling to me there. And then really, really lucky that Javonte fell to me in the 6th. I really wasn't expecting that. And then I still got my boy, James Cook, I thought he was going to go right here where Pacheco went, so I'm really glad James Cook here. I feel like I got 4 really solid running backs that can be pieces for me, and 3 insanely solid wide receivers. So I really, really love this build. Obviously, I maybe would have liked to have a better quarterback and a better tight end, but this is the trade-off. I will take Stream at a tight end and the upside of somebody like Anthony Richardson that I already got in the 9th, and put my tight end, and I can play that streaming game to have this solidarity across all here and the upside of some of these rookies and the Zay Flowerses of the world. So I honestly, I love this build. It looks like Jack dropped off here, but if we're still pushing through and looking at his team, really love how we went Derrick Henry at the tail end of the drafts. It's kind of that go get your player. You got to throw that ADP out the window a little bit more. So getting Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, Joe Mixon. Like you said, he could have some concerns with some older running backs, but again, he's got people who are going to get fed the ball. Derrick Henry is going to be great. He's going to be a top 4 or 5 option. Joe Mixon, James Conner, Justin Fields. Obviously, I think he's going to have an amazing season as well. Might have a little bit of issues with receiver, especially in a PPR league. AJ Brown, Chris Godwin, totally fine. JSN is kind of up in the air. Juju, a little up in the air as well. So he might have some issues with wide receivers, but his running backs are certainly going to carry him. So as we get everything wrapped up here, really just want to say appreciate everybody listening as always. If you have any questions that you want to send our way, send them to Jack or I on YouTube as we start doing these shorts. Please, by all means, like, comment, subscribe for us. I'm trying to get to 200 subscribers here by the end of the NFL season. We're at 115 right now. Started the season with 103, so we've already got whatever that is, 12 on top of that. So really, really appreciate people that do take the time to like, comment, subscribe. Really helps our videos. We really enjoy the content. If you guys have something that you want to see these videos progress, feel free. Let us know. We're excited to do it. Reminder, we'll send out that DFS link. We'll put it in the description for the video as well. So if you want to join that, $5 season long, can win yourself some money. We'll review and recap some of the teams here every week. So just something fun. So we appreciate everyone listening as always. And until next time, Pod Squad, we'll see you later.